The conversation on the streets, and because you're a youth leader, we'll start the conversation with you. So we keep getting calls and text messages regarding how young people engaged in either EC activities or youth in afforestation or NABCO or any of the other ones, saying that they have not been paid what's due them. Nobody's explaining why, but it does appear that it's become a trend. And somebody sent a message that in 2012, he also did something like that, and up until now, they're asking him to submit, details to get paid. What usually is the cause of this, do you know?
Well, Johnny, good morning to you once again, and good morning to our cherished viewers across the world. Happy to be back on set, and I'm happy that I'm resuming my little break with you on the new day. Johnny, this question about how young people who work, break their sweat in serving this country in different capacities are not paid on regular basis. Sometimes government institutions owes them 6 months. Sometimes they even are owed up to a year, and yet they continue to work. It's really not a new conversation. It's something that I in particular have been very, very worried about. And I think it's, to a large extent, only exposes how the government or leadership of this country takes young people for granted. When you go to these institutions that we are talking about, take, for example, the youth in afforestation.
Yeah.
Government spends huge sums of money buying lots of vehicles, so you see a lot of branded vehicles with youth in afforestation. Government spends lots of money on people who are supposed to be the supervisors or those who are doing monitoring and evaluation. Government spends huge sums of money on the political appointees in these institutions. They are paid monthly salaries that come regularly. They are given allowance, even meetings that they attend. Anytime they are traveling out of their office, they are paid.
You know this?
And yet, yes, I know this for a fact. You can check from all the institutions. Anytime they are traveling out of their office in Accra to go and work, say in another region, they make allocations for some extra allowance for them to go and use in doing all of these things. And yet, that young man, that young graduate, that young lady who is suffering, finding it difficult to keep body and soul together with 400 cedis, with 700 cedis, with 500 cedis, is denied their little allowance for months. And sometimes the mediocrity has gotten to the extent that sometimes government delays the payment for 6 months, and when they pay it, they announce it and expect us to celebrate them.
Well, that's achievable.
You delay payment of 500 Ghana cedis to these young people who are suffering. Sometimes how they survive, only God knows. For 5 months, 6 months, you pay yourselves. You spend money buying V8 and all sorts of luxuries for yourselves, those who can even afford. You deny these young people their daily bread, yet they continue to work. And then if after 5 or 6 months you pay it, they make an announcement. It's very embarrassing. We have to take ourselves out of this mediocrity. But Johnny, you ask yourself, how is government able to get away with some of these things? Sometimes I blame the young people themselves.
Why do you blame them?
Because you see, the recruitment into these jobs has been so polarized that it was offered to them based on partisan lines. And that is the truth. You
really?
See, Johnny, you see, sometimes government will come and announce that we are recruiting for A, B, C, and D.
Right.
But the truth, and everyone watching me knows this, is that this recruitment are done at the party level.
So you're saying that everybody in NABCO, everybody in youth afforestation
no, I'm not saying that everybody in NABCO, but the point I'm making is that most of the time, and most of the people in there, it is the political party leaders. So you go to MPP constituency offices, and their constituency youth organizers have submitted a list for recruitment. You go to the MPP regional office, and they are submitting a list of young people to be employed in these jobs, because these jobs are being given as a reward for their participation in the political process. So even when they are denied payment, they are afraid to speak out. You are denied your daily bread and you are afraid to speak out because in your mind, by speaking out, you are speaking out against your party or your government. And that for me is very sad and worrying.
So this,
that in 21st century, young people, okay, you have the opportunity to work at the time that the SDGs, if you look at Goal 8, we are talking about decent work and decent pay.
That's right.
And young people are supposed to be fighting for these things. Young people must be voicing out their concerns on this. But they are the same people, when Ghanaians are complaining, Ghanaians are agitating about the poor leadership of President Akufo-Addo, and we are asking him to fix the country. They are the same people that they will send on social media to come and tell us to fix ourselves.
If what you're saying
this is the mediocrity that we have been
if what you're saying holds true, that means that your party also did same when you also introduced some of these schemes to, if you like, lift the unemployed from that doldrum and put them on a certain pedestal to put.
Johnny, when it comes to issues of livelihood and welfare for young people, for me, it doesn't matter which political party or which political leader is wrong or right. My position is that at any point in time, when you employ young people in any job, okay, by government, make sure at the end of the month you pay them.
We agree on that. I'm saying
we
that,
agree. So I'm coming there.
Okay.
So for me, if you tell me and you are able to prove that when the NDC was in power, we had people who suffered to get some of these payments, and it must be condemned, just as I'm condemning it today. It must be condemned. But the point is that the reason why we go to the polls 7th December after every 4 years is to go and vote for improvement in our lives.
That's correct.
So if it was wrong under the NDC, and we accept that it was wrong under the NDC, it must not be right today. And it can never be justified by whether or not it happened under the NDC. But Johnny, something very instructive. In fact, when we lost 2016 as a political party and we went on investigating some of the reasons why we lost, one of the reasons that was very common in the rantings and the reasons given by our grassroots, at the time in 2017 was that we were too open with our opportunities.
Really?
And yes, and that they told us that under President Kufuor and the NPP, political party card, NPP membership card, was all you needed to guarantee unemployment. But they could point to us, NPP people, and I think it is leadership by example. You recall that during the 2015 State of the Nation address, President John Dramani Mahama even pointed to NPP or pro-NPP contractors or members of the NPP who got some contracts because they deserved so. We need to build a country that every young person must find opportunity, irrespective of which political party he belongs to and which political party is in power. Okay. So, Johnny, it is sad, and government must do everything possible to pay these young ones. Johnny, national service personnel are part. They finish their, not paid. They delay in payment sometimes. So, as we are in May. May is about ending. What prevents the national service scheme from working out the scheme in such a way that at least 2 or 3 days into the new month, their May salary will be paid? They would wait sometimes almost to the end.
Allowances.
The allowance. Sometimes almost to the end of the next month. Then they will come and announce that we have made payments for this previous month, and they expect us to applaud them. And the young people who are on these schemes, because of political party affiliation, cannot voice out their concerns, cannot speak out against the government and demand that they should be paid regularly. Okay. It is sad.
Join us, your thoughts and comments. If you're old, let's know, because we believe that, or I believe that it is those who cannot find work to do, those who do not have the means to put clothes on themselves, shelter over their heads, and food to eat, they are the ones who are very vulnerable and easily lurable into all manner of vices. But you do know that yesterday, some workplace around the Denchira, Brofui-Du area, we identified that a mining cave, a mining pit has caved in. Take a listen quickly to the district chief executive of the area. He is supposed to be the boss of the district security committee or council there. Take a listen to him. When we return, we'll have a conversation as to whether the renewed fight against Galamsey, that's just Operation Halt, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, as it is now, perhaps it's not an old strategy to fight a new war, an old strategy that failed in a previous war to fight a new war. But take a listen to this quickly.
We are going to see the intensification of monitoring because we cannot sit down for always people to sneak out under the cover of darkness to go and have this situation and people will die. And at the end of the day, you have to undertake a rescue mission, hire excavators and loaders. Even we weren't even aware that some few people have been sneaking out under the cover of darkness to go there and engage in these illegal activities that have brought this situation to bear. We have this local task force being formed in some of these communities. These Toto people will still sneak under the cover of darkness, sometimes as late as 12 o'clock, to go back to the Ofin River. And they are the very people who are destroying the river because their activities is directly on the river. So we are finding all means to take them out. We cannot sit and look on whilst after the Operation Halt activities that have cleared them from the rivers, you look on for them to come back. And so we are forming these local task forces to clear them from these rivers so that we can have back our river as it used to be in the olden days.
They will have to be cleared, of course. And we'd like to say happy birthday also to Captain Edmond Nicholas Lai of the 5th Battalion of Infantry of the Ghana Armed Forces, Arakan Barracks. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you, Captain, and live long. Adam, so that's the District Chief Executive there. He's talking about intensification of monitoring. He's also saying that he is not aware, or they are not aware, that people sneak in, and they have formed local task force to ensure that people don't sneak in. That's the boss of the District Security Council saying he's not aware, we intensify monitoring, and then form local task force. For you, what does this tell you about the fight against Galamsey?
Johnny, I think that we, first and foremost, must admit that President Akufo-Addo and his government lost the fight against Galamsey in their first 4 years.
Because you didn't support them?
We must admit that they lost the fight.
Because you didn't support them?
Indeed, there was no fight after all. What we saw was a cover-up to allow their kingpins, to allow surrogates and affiliates of the President Akufo-Addo government to rather embark on Galamsey in a more dangerous term than it used to be. And that is why today, as we speak, despite all the sloganeering that we were bombarded with in the last 4 years, the water bodies as they are today stand more destroyed, more polluted than they were before 2017. So first, let's admit that there was really never a fight against Galamsey.
Did you support them? Did you support
Yeah, we supported.
How did you support them?
We all supported, and we supported by asking them to be truthful to Ghanaians. We supported by asking them to do the right things. We supported. But what did they do? They fought everybody that supported them. For example, some colleagues of yours in the media supported them by conducting investigative reports into the activities of Galamsey and how the task force was being used to rather promote Galamsey, and they were seizing excavators, sharing excavators like Kelewele to their party faithfuls and all of these things. What did they do to those people? Even when there was video evidence, they allowed them to go. They set them free. What happened to the 500 excavators that got missing? What happened to the party Hiansika audio? What happened to those who were caught on tape extorting monies in order to give licenses to people to go and do Galamsey? The same thing that they thought or they claimed they were fighting against. So, Johnny, there was never a fight against Galamsey. We all supported. But what we have today is a supposed renewed fight. And it is very ridiculous. Ridiculous because President Akufo-Addo's government claims they have started burning excavators. You see, Johnny?
The president justified it, actually.
For a government that asks us to trust them, for a president who was touted as incorruptible, their inability to seize excavators and redirect the use of those excavators but pretend to be burning them because they don't trust themselves, because they know that when they seize and they don't burn them or they don't do away with these excavators, calls will come in the name of Party Hiansika and the kingpins are still around. So those same excavators will be used to engage in the act of galamsey, illegal mining. But Johnny, it's funny. Why is it funny?
Why?
It is funny because as we speak, some district assemblies are buying excavators to be dredging their drains. You are aware of that? So we are spending money to buy excavators.
The president says, if you don't understand, go to court.
No, you see, it is not about. You see, it is not.
Go and seek redress.
It's not every issue. Sometimes issues that borders on common sense cannot be resolved in the law courts, because you seize excavators from people engaging in an illegal activity, and instead of redirecting the use of those excavators into something else, you burn them. So you have wasted them. Then you spend another money, taxpayers' money, to buy same equipment for districts to be using to dredge their drains and all of that. Does that make sense to you?
Well, so the Operation Hot Team also says that, for example, the army, the Ghana Armed Forces, even though they say most of the galamseyers are returning to site, places that they had hitherto cleared are returning to site. They also say that the excavators have the motherboards that these galamseyers take out when they see the team coming. They take it out and they flee with it. So you can't move the excavators.
So the cost of buying these boards, these motherboards that have been removed from it, can that be compared to the cost of buying a completely new one? Would that be more than buying a new one? It doesn't make sense. Johnny, the whole thing is that government is on an agenda again.
Which agenda?
They have lost the fight. They never even engage in it in the first place. So they are pretending to be burning excavators. Whereas they are allowing, and they know. Recently, I saw a picture of some of the government, the ministers and co visiting galamsey sites in the name of monitoring and all of that.
Right.
And I said that some of those people, part of that team, themselves are engaged in acts of illegal mining.
You can't make that allegation.
Recently, no, you see, a few weeks ago, I alleged on a sister station of yours that a particular national executive of the NPP has hundreds of excavators on site engaging in the act of galamsey. They came out and said, hey, it is not true and all of that. In this burning exercise, her machines were burnt. They know themselves. Don't go to the site. Through political activities, you will go to Eastern region, you will go to some part of Western region, and the locals know. They will point you to that this belongs to this minister. This concession belongs to this MPP executive. The people know who are the cause of the problem. But you see, again, this is more like a class fight where the ordinary Ghanaian who is poor and does not have a voice, their machines will be seized and burnt, and then you put up a certain costume fight of a sort when the real problem exists. The problem is that the excavators, just like some others have said in the past, the excavators don't have a mind of their own. They cannot move to the site by themselves. And I think that it is people that operate, people that own these concessions. In fact, even the local galamseyers, many of them are not the owners of the concessions. People own the concession, engage them, and pay them for the work that they do. So now, go into it, investigate, get the people who are behind these people. Who brought in these excavators? Who is using it to engage in the galamsey? Arrest and prosecute them. That is the solution. So the solution is not in burning these excavators.
I am of the view that, look, burn the excavators, but every excavator has a chassis number.
Yes.
If you go to the ports, I'm sure you can find who imported what. So find the chassis number of the excavator after burning it, and find the people who brought in it, or those who owe it, or those who hired it out, and deal with them. Does it make sense?
It makes sense. But you see, this government is not interested or will not agree with you because it doesn't make sense to what they want to do. Johnny, we were in this country. In the middle of this fight against galamsey, a certain Chinese lady, Aisha Wan, was arrested. Did you listen to the frivolous reasons given by the then senior minister of Safumafo for which reason they had to allow her to go? And when you go to this site, you see Chinese working. And recently, the Chinese ambassador said something very, very thought-provoking. He said that it is the locals that are aiding his people to engage in this act of galamsey. People in political offices, people who have influence in these local communities. So if you are fighting Galamsey and you are beating around the bush, leaving out these people, and you are only arresting the poor young man or woman who for want of survival is risking his or her life in this pit, you arrest them and you leave out the people who own the concession and get them this machinery to be engaging in the act, you are really not fighting.
How do we get out of this? They talked about alternative jobs. They talked about empowering people to create their own jobs, creating the enable environment. Which options are available to us?
If the NDC had won election 2020, one of the things that we promised and we were so committed, and we are committed, and I believe that in 2025, when we have the opportunity, we will do, is to encourage what we call the community mining. You see,
the MPP is doing that.
No, you see, what the MPP is doing is different from what we intend doing.
What are they doing wrong? Sorry,
the MPP's own is that the MPP's.
I know that they have community mining.
I'm telling you, the
concessions are created. There's supervision that's ongoing.
The MPP is not doing anything right in this fight against Galamsey. All they are doing is that when they get to this community, okay, and they realize that there are concessions, there are places where, and they seize the concessions from the ordinary Ghanaian, they come back, sit in their office, just as we saw in the announced video, and give out licenses to themselves, to their party apparatchiks, to go back to those sites and go and operate. So when the military comes, when those on the security forces come, the people show license and say that we have been licensed to do this work. However, the difference between illegal mining or Galamsey and the reason why we are concerned is not just about whether or not you have a license. It's about whether or not you are using the best practices so that we reclaim the land, we don't get our water polluted. But you go to the site, these people are giving the licenses to themselves. Okay. They are still engaging in the same act of small, the illegal mining, still polluting the water, still destroying the forest and the environment. And yet, because they have a license, they are operating.
There has been a shake-up at the Minerals Commission recently. Does it mean anything to you? Obviously, it should gladden your heart.
You see, when you bring out, when you send it, shake-up does not necessarily lead to any positive
but
change.
At least if somebody is the one perpetuating something somewhere and it's been moved, it helps, doesn't it?
You see, it is not just about moving. You also, there's a reason why punishments are important. So, Johnny, if I come to TV3 and I'm your employer and I say that the way you handle your morning show is not to my satisfaction, and I just move you from here to another station, it is not enough punishment. The punishment must be meted out. Why are you moving those people? In fact, we have MPP executives mentioning on live TV that some people, some directors at the Minerals Commission are also engaged in this Galamsey. You only move the people away and you bring a new set of people. When they come, they get so comfortable because they will say, oh, after 4 years, government may change and may even live here. If you don't punish people, there's no way people will be deterred in this act of Galamsey.
Okay.
Punish the kingpins, arrest them, and prosecute them.
Okay.
If not, we are worried because 2030, the reports I'm reading suggest that by 2030, if the trend today is not changed, Ghana is likely to be importing potable water. Water to drink will be important because we are destroying all our water bodies because of Galamsey. And so President Akufo-Addo is good at the slogans. Every platform that he has, he is pretending to be calling Ghanaians to join him in the fight against Galamsey. Meanwhile, when there was even a video evidence to show that his people were aiding and abetting in this illegal mining scheme, what did he do? He cleared them.
You've said that already. Let's look at the alternatives. You were telling me about what you would have done. I'm saying that the MPP is doing community mining. You have shut it down. What else is there in your bag?
Apart from the community mining, you also have to provide training for the people who are going to be doing this small-scale mining. If government gives them the license and government supervises what they're doing, it no more becomes illegal mining. It becomes small-scale mining. Now, because it is illegal, there's no training that is given to these people. So, for example, if government decides that if you have a concession, okay, a small concession, and you want to engage in small-scale mining, before you take your license, these are the procedures that are expected of you. And one of such procedures is that come bring your people, your workers, or the people you are likely to recruit in the pit for training. Then they are taught that this is how best you do it, and you still protect your water bodies. This is how you do it to reclaim your land, and that is the way to go. But if you just go and take licenses and you share to your party apparatchiks and claim that they have been licensed to do what they are doing, the water bodies will still be destroyed.
Okay.
It is sad.
Okay.
And we are sitting, it's a very dangerous and a very serious national security issue. We are in 2021. By 2030, if this trend continues, my children, Johnny, your children, would have to be drinking water imported from other countries.
Okay.
Very, very sad.
Thank you very much. And you can join us with your thoughts and comments on WhatsApp. That's the numbers are on your screen. They'll be on your screen. But the shots you're seeing now are from the Denchra Brofiedu area in the central region, where we understand that the mine pit had caved in and some indigents had lost their lives. You also heard earlier the district chief executive of the area telling us what the district security council expects to do. They want to intensify monitoring, and also he stated clearly that they weren't aware of the night activities of these galamseyers who sneak in after midnight to go in there. But he has also assured that there will be some local task force to be able to deal expeditiously with it. At the last count, we saw 3 people already dead, and the search is on. Amen, Ibrahim Abubakar and Benjamin Edu were there. Such a huge pit, if you ask me. They raping the earth, literally, and we're all watching. But Ernest Kume is joining us now. He is a member of the NPP's communication team. Ernest, welcome. Thank you very much for your time. How are you doing?
I'm good, my man.
So we're discussing Galamsey, and I'm sure you are very much aware of what's been happening, especially in the central region. I'm raising concerns about the alternatives that we could possibly trace. But before that, Edem has been making some very scathing allegations against you and your party, that there was no fight against Galamsey, that it is actually your party apparatchik who are neck deep in Galamsey, that your women organizer, King Jeffa, for example, has had excavators burned, that there is nothing that you're doing in terms of fighting Galamsey. You're just emboldening people to go in there. You seize things from the locals and give to the big people to do Galamsey. Quick response to that, and let's move on.
Let me say a very big good morning to our viewers, and also good morning to my brother Edem here. It's very unfortunate that Edem will allege that our big wigs and our party leaders are involved in Galamsey. But however, I don't blame Edem for saying that, because some people have decided to throw in the open that our party big wigs and leaders are doing Galamsey. However, they are unable to mention names. So it makes it that kind of diabolical that anybody can just open up and say these people are doing Galamsey. It's also unfortunate that he mentions the name of Madame Kinjinvoa having to be involved.
Well, he didn't mention the name. I'm saying because we saw the tapes, yes.
The tapes, yeah. So first of all, like I have said on other sister stations and network, Madame Kinjinvoa has never been involved in Galamsey. She's been doing mining for over 20 years now. She's had mining license since 2006. Even when the NDZ was in power, she still operated as a miner. She had her licenses and leases to operate as well. It's quite unfortunate that under our government this has happened to her. But like the president keeps saying, if you feel you have a case, if you think your right has been violated, you go to court. So just as she is a citizen, she also go to court and assert her rights.
Adam says common sense conversations are not in court. I mean, sometimes you need to have it on a common sense note. What do you say to that?
Yeah, that's trite knowledge that common sense conversations are not supposed to be having court. So if you say that, if he knows a part of this conversation that happens to be common sense knowledge, that is no case for us to disagree on that. It's something that can be talked about without you necessarily going to court. But if he say that the government is not fighting Galamsey, then that happens not to be true.
He mentions Party Hiasika video, he mentions the excavators that went missing, he mentioned people caught on tape taking money, and all of that. Aisha Wan freed, and the excuse is so giving. And he says it doesn't engender the confidence to give anybody the indication that government is fighting Galamsey.
First of all, what we all ought to understand is that mining comes with devastating effect.
That's
and
right.
all over the world, wherever mining has taken place, it has had one form of devastating effect on the environment. You understand? So if you go to South Africa, Peru, and other parts of the world, this has. So you decide to mine or you decide to stop. And if you decide to mine, you have to put in place measures to reduce the devastating effect on the environment. So what has happened over the years that has brought us to this point? I can tell you that without necessarily doing trivial comparison, the NDC made an effort to fight Galamsey. Were they successful at it? No. They were frustrated to the point that almost all the ministers that headed that sector were complaining. And I don't know who they were complaining to. Inusaf Husseini was frustrated to the point that he had to come out openly to say that he has given up on the fight against Galamsey. Honorable Mahama Yariga was frustrated to the point that he had to mention him that now he doesn't even know what to do anymore because chiefs and opinion leaders were coming to him one way or the other. His party leaders were on his neck. I do not want to mention names as people are throwing in the space currently, but the point is that they were not successful at it. Today, if my brother sits here or Adam sits here and he mentions the name of Aisha Wan, when did Aisha Wan and her cohort come into this country? When did they obtain whatever, work permit and other documents to start even working in the mining area? We all got to know about Aisha Wan early part of 2017 when the task force on Galamsey arrested Aisha Wan and other Chinese people in this industry. Meanwhile, she had operated in the system for so many years that they call her a kingpin.
So freeing her was a justification?
No. I mean, if you want our focus to be on freeing her, then we can have that conversation.
No, I'm saying that.
But I'm building a point. I'm saying that she became a kingpin because the NDC government decided to make her a kingpin. They allowed her the free space to operate until a new government came in and decided to crash down on them. That's when she became a news item.
So what was the essence? What was the essence of your action? If under another regime she had been allowed to become a kingpin, then you grab her. Golden opportunity to have shifted the paradigm and changed the narrative. But now, see, he's also equalizing to say, okay, we allowed her to be a kingpin. You caught her, and what happened to her?
Yeah, when you arrest someone, it's either you follow the due process of the law, and the due process of the law is not limited to jailing the person in your country. Repatriation is also part of the due process of the law. So if the government decides to exercise the option of repatriating the person to her home country, so the home country prosecutes her or deal with her for violation of another country's law, it is part of the
Do you know if Aisha Wan is standing trial in China?
I cannot tell, but I'm telling you that as part of procedural processes, you can decide to repatriate the person to her home country.
Okay. Where the senior minister says prosecuting her.
Why are you making Aisha Wan the focus now? I told you, you just bring the person.
I am, because you see, the people who have been
when
caught,
you do that,
the people who have been caught now in the Brofriedu pit would also have to either be made to feel the fire or be left off the hook like Aisha Wan. Then it means that we're going round and round in circles, spending money to be doing the fight, but there's actually no results to show for the fight.
My difficulty is that if you limit your questions to Aisha Wan, then it becomes a digressionary discussion.
No, I'm not
then
limiting.
I'm losing focus on what the earlier questions you put before me.
Okay.
But I need to exhaust your earlier question.
Okay.
Then
which earlier question?
The earlier question, whether my party and my government is fighting mining.
Okay.
You understand? If you are fighting the Galamsey menace, I need to explain, and I'm just building up on my point.
You think that Aisha Wan is not a central theme in all of the fight?
No, you can put it in there, but it's just a minute part of it. And I have exhausted what we need to do. So if you could give me some space to just make some progress on this. So you see, what I'm saying is that he cannot say we have not fought Galamsey. If you look at the effort this government has put in, even the first administration, the effort we put in, the tax force that was set up, even Ghana Water came out to tell us that progressively they've seen some improvement in the turbidity of the water. If you compare it to the previous administration, you see that at least something is changing. Now we are in the new era, or the second term of our administration. The president has decided to put in a new energy, new strategy to see if he can combat it. And now you can all tell that it's yielding some results. Most people have retired back to the house.
Is it yielding results, really?
Oh, it is. Because, for instance, just a week ago, I was at my constituency and I happened to have a discussion with my DC. He showed me some videos of some of the rivers within my constituency, which were looking quite good compared to some months ago, compared to some years ago. So it's yielding some result. And I can visibly see most excavators parked in the neighborhood. These excavators were somewhere else working. But because of the approach now, all these excavators has been retrieved back, and you could see them parked within the locality. So it means that at least, even if I don't visit the site, I could see that some level of result is coming in.
Is the government still going to allow for the Tiwa forest to be mined? That's a big question, because the Tiwa forest hosts 3 different rivers. If government is really committed to preserving the forest reserves, cleaning the water, improving the tangibility and all of that, then the question remains, will government allow for the Tiwa forest to be mined?
Okay, so as I speak with you, Newmont and other large-scale miners are mining. Some are mining within the forest. Now, if you come to Abrim, where Newmont is operating in the Eastern Region, they are mining within the forest. But the point is that they have the corresponding license. They are following the due processes and the methodologies that they need to follow and make sure that whatever process. So mining in forest itself, it has rules and regulations. So once you follow the rules of the game, you will be able to mine in the forest. So if you ask me now, I am not in position to confirm whether government is going to go ahead or not. But be it as it may, if government is going to go ahead, definitely there will be measures for those that are going to undertake the mining to follow. Okay. Just to make sure they don't destroy the environment, they don't destroy our forest and just go free.
Okay. Take a minute on this and maybe Ernest will take a minute and then we'll have to switch.
Just 2 quick things that I want to talk about. The first one has to do with the Aisha one. When the senior minister at the time had the opportunity to explain to Ghanaians why they could not or they failed to punish Aisha Juan, he simply said, punishing Aisha Juan will not solve our money problem. It will not make us happy. It will not make him happy. He simply doesn't even understand.
But he never said that was a justification.
That was a justification he gave. That was a justification.
First of all,
what is the justification? Allow me to finish. So that was what he said. He simply doesn't even understand the need to hold somebody responsible for such irresponsible acts to deter others.
He's explaining that repatriation.
Is he being punished? Never.
Well, he doesn't know. Do you know?
He's not being punished. I'm telling you for a fact. Secondly,
do you know?
In December 2018, the local government minister at the time, Hajia Halima Mahama, told Ghanaians that she was taking steps to sack all MMDCs who were engaged in illegal mining. It's an admittance of the fact that...
What she said at that meeting was that she knows the MMDCs involved in Galamsey.
And that she was taking steps to sack them. What has happened? Has anyone been sacked? It means that...
You give me some space.
Who are the MMDCs? Appointed by the president. So, if MMDCs appointed by President Akufo-Addo, okay, were engaged in illegal mining, the minister responsible for that sector, local government, says that I know those who are involved and I will sack them. And 2 years later, 3 years later, those people are still in office. Can you not tell me, is it not right for anyone to say that President Akufo-Addo himself has endorsed the act of illegal mining, and that is why he has refused to sack his appointees? Because when I'm not overstretching it, Johnny. I'm not overstretching. When I am an appointing authority, and I appoint you as a DC or an MC, and you are engaging in an act of illegal mining.
What is the business
you are engaging. So, Johnny, after appointing you, I put a supervisor, a minister. The minister comes back to tell Ghanaians that some of the MMDCs appointed by the president are engaged in illegal mining. If the president was so committed to the fight against Galamsey, the first thing he would have done should have been to punish these people.
The president says, bring me hard evidence. Do you have evidence against any DC? Take it to the president.
Was the minister forced at gunpoint to mention that she knows MMDCs who were engaged in illegal mining? Was the minister at gunpoint to say so? If the minister, also appointed by the same president, says that I know MMDCs who are involved in illegal mining, again, even before the elections, LM Bele, MPP executives were against their DC, saying that he was engaged in an act of, he was engaged in Galamsey. What happened to that? Their own executives produced evidence to back the fact that their DC was engaged in illegal mining. Johnny, like I told you, in the first 4 years, President Akufo-Addo was only interested in taking away excavators and equipment from the poor ordinary Ghanaian and sharing it among his party apparatchik. There was never a fight against Galamsey.
Nobody who owns a Galamsey is poor.
No, you see, the poor people they were arresting, they are not the ones who own these excavators.
Okay.
Because when you arrest these people, vote for the kingpins.
Okay, Ernest, step in for me. So you've heard the allegations that, look, you were never ever committed to fighting Galamsey.
These are completely vague statements.
Why is it? Start from Aisha 1. That's where he began.
What is there to talk about Aisha 1?
He said Aisha 1 is not being prosecuted.
You see, his point is that the senior minister came to speak about it. You see, when senior minister is not in the line of authority to deal with Aisha 1's matter, whatever he puts across can best of all be described as a social commentary.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, because he's not in the line of duty
The
to
senior
decide.
minister.
I am telling
Adam,
you see,
No, I'm
Go
just
ahead,
surprised.
Ernest, go ahead.
Ernest, you go ahead.
you
I'm just
understand? He
surprised.
was not in the line of authority to say Aisha 1 should be repatriated, she should go to jail, she should be dealt with in this process.
Whose job was it?
It was the job of the Immigration, Interior Ministry, Foreign Ministry to deal with this. And he has no line of duty across this.
And what was the job of the senior minister? To supervise all the ministries, correct?
No, he wasn't supposed
What
to
was his
supervise.
job? To supervise all the ministers?
He was assigned specific policy mandate, which has to do with financial reforms and other things. He has his mandate, he has his job description for being put there, and he has nothing to do with it. So whatever
So
he
then
says,
what was his business
Gee.
talking about?
You just give me a few minutes if I could land with this, okay? You cannot interpret her statement, and you cannot construe his statement to mean that that is the justification for the reason why Aisha 1 was repatriated. I have told you that as part of the due processes of the law, repatriation is part, and you cannot do away with
Okay,
that.
let's
It happens based on international relations between countries. So this must be accepted. Now, when you come to all these points that he was saying, if the local government minister then alleges that, oh, it has come to her attention that some DCs are involved in Galamsey, and therefore anyone that goes ahead with that, she's going to make sure the person is dismissed, and that person is not dismissed. Is it not clearly, or is it not right that for want of evidence, those people were not dismissed? It also goes to tell you that those people were not involved in Galamsey. So you cannot come and sit here and just oppose it and run into conclusion and say, no.
Please, Adam, slow down.
You cannot run into hasty conclusions.
Adam, allow him.
You cannot run into hasty conclusions and draw vague.
Sorry, let me read from the Daily Graphics website, www.graphic.com.gh.
Yeah.
It's an article, a news item written on the 10th of September 2018 by Zadok KJC. And it says some metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives are said to be engaging in illegal mining, popularly referred to as Galamsey. The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Haji Halima Mahama, who disclosed this, said the government would soon name and sack all such MMDCs. She added that the involvement of the MMDCs in illegal mining was thwarting the government's efforts to fight the menace, and disclosed further that the government had all the names of the executives involved in the practice. This was said as a retreat. Mind you, Haji Halima Mahama is a lawyer, so lawyers understand.
Yeah, but when you started, you said, are said.
No,
they are, no, that's the, let him
Okay,
read.
so,
no.
Let them
So
don't just waste our time. Let him
relax. Let them relax.
Let's read the
relax.
What's the problem?
Relax. So in a story, there's what we call a lead.
Yes.
The lead is what is in the bold capitals.
Okay.
So it starts to say some metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives are said to be engaged in illegal mining.
Exactly.
Popularly referred to as Galamsey. Then it comes back to the, this is directly for Haji Halima Mahama.
Exactly.
That the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Haji Halima Mahama, who disclosed this, said the government would soon name and sack all MMDCs. Note that. She added that the involvement of the MMDCs is illegal mining was thwarting the government's effort to fight the menace, and disclosed further that the government had all the names of the executives involved in the practice. This was Haji Halima Mahama speaking at the, there's a direct quote from her. It says, the report we're getting from the field is not pleasant at all. This is a direct quote. She said, and the report we're getting is that some of you MMDCs are messing up. Why should any of you MMDCs here engage in Galamsey? She quizzed. they're cautioning that I want to assure you that you cannot do anything and hide. The government has the long hand. And don't do something and think that you can sneak. This is a direct quote. At the right time, we will name you. This was in 2018.
The report she's getting.
Yes.
And at the right time, she will name and shame.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
that
been 3 years.
That tells you, it's right that she didn't get any evidence.
She's a lawyer.
But she said, she said the report. This has nothing to do with law. She said the report she's getting. So is it not right knowledge that if she's unable to put out the name, it supposes that it's for want of evidence? Because if she had evidence, because she's saying at the right time, so if at the right time she couldn't get the evidences, how can she name and
I'm
shame?
getting worried. So the senior minister, the minister for local government at the time, they spoke without adequate information. They made bold, categorical statements.
She had a report. She had a report. And when you are in administrative position, one of the responsible things to do is to make sure that you take preventive decisions. So if she had a report and she goes ahead to meet the DCs and put across such a statement, at least to warn the people who wants to get in or who are in there for them to stop, you think that's an irresponsible act? Or you think that should be taken as hook, line, and sinker, or an issue that should be?
So she didn't have the full complement of the statement, of the report, if you will. Or
I cannot speak for her case, but you read it out. That she said the report she has received. And she goes ahead to say that at the right time. When is the right time? The opportune time is when you have the full overview of the report. And you know the persons involved.
I see.
But if you're unable to do that, I can sit everywhere.
No, you don't have time.
I can sit wherever I am and construe that you don't have the evidence. Because if she did, she would have put the names across.
Thank you very much. Cookie T is ready with some messages. Adam wanted to have another bite. No, he won't. Let's make progress.
Boshaba Misty from Gosu Zongo says, Galamsey fight is a fight for all Ghanaians, not the president alone. So let's stop the hypocrisy and support the president to fight against it. My regards to Honorable Evans Opoku Bobie, a Sunafo North Member of Parliament, and Honorable Ya Osei Boaheng, a Sunafo North MCE. What the guests are saying is the truth, nothing but the truth. The government now is the one exploiting the youth. It is very sad. The hypocrisy must stop. Babamu from Tamale says the issues of burning excavators and other equipment in the Galamsey area is just the best way to go. We cannot allow our water bodies to be destroyed. If you can't burn the kimpings behind the Galamsey, at least we can burn their excavators, period. Good morning, Johnny. In fact, people are actually recalcitrant upon the day-to-day singing about illegal mining and its effects thereof. Others are still doing it somewhere. We love money than our own lives, and that was exactly what happened at Brofu Yedru in the central region. I'll cut it short because the messages are a bit much this morning. This one says, good morning, Johnny. In fact, until the people get something in place of Galamsey, these are some of the news we'll be hearing. How can you take a loaf of bread from a hungry man without giving him another half loaf of bread? Government must give a supportive hand to the people, and I believe with this, the fight will yield the needed result. And that came from Adam Smith from Agogo in Asante Achim. This one is very long. I'll just read the first sentence that says, good morning, Johnny. Why do we vote at all? The Electoral Commission today is telling us that we those who vote, is telling us that we vote so the votes can be counted before it's dark. For this reason, they are thinking of closing polls at 3 p.m. during the 2024 general elections.
I think you should skip it because it's not part of the conversation we had.
So I should just skip the whole thing. Okay, I wanted to read the last part of it,
later.
But I'll skip it. Well, this one says, good morning, Johnny. Seriously, President Akufo-Addo has failed as God bless our homeland, Ghana. This one is too long, so I'll just skip it.
Thank you very much, Riddle. Sorry about that we couldn't read your message. So John says, please tell Ernest that the senior minister stated categorically that the prosecution of Aisha Juan will do nothing good for Ghana while Ghanaian citizens were languishing in jail. He made this statement in the presence of the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, later termed that statement as unfortunate, and that was calls the end of the issue. Good morning. So he says that, well, the statement was made in the presence of the president. The president came back to say the statement was unfortunate and the matter died. It is surprising that government is referring to the NDC in almost every negative event in the country. Ghanaians voted the NDC out and brought in this new government to do things better. Is NDC now the government standard after 4 years in power? That's another person asking that question. Adam, I'll give you the final word as we wrap up the conversations here.
Johnny, two things. The first one is the first thing that we spoke about, which has to do with the young people. In fact, after my submission, I'm getting lots of messages from young people who are actually saying that they agree with what I said, and they are pleading that we should voice out for government to pay them because some of them are suffering. One person was actually recounting, I'll show you the messages, and it's sad. And I told you earlier that when it comes to issues of welfare and survival for young people, it is not even about NDC and PP. Some of these people are really, really struggling to live. Some of them are struggling to find roof over their head and all of that. So when you see all of these problems, and yet government is investing in other unproductive things, and they invest heavily in paying themselves, but they leave these young ones to suffer, it's really sad. We need to do something about it. My prayer, and I'm calling on the government to, as a matter of urgency, make sure that by end of this week, or say by next week, all these arrears that they are owing youth in afforestation, NAPCO, and all these other employment schemes that that we introduced, they should make sure that these young people are paid.
Is the money there?
That is key. The money is there. It's a matter of priorities. Government spends on other things, and they have the money to do those ones. When they prioritize the young people and their welfare, they will find the money for them, and that is possible. Okay. Lastly, the fight against Galamsey, Johnny, it's a lost fight if the leaders are not honest, if the leaders are doing things to just enrich themselves. All of us must be interested. Like I said, our water bodies are being polluted. I cannot imagine Ghana importing water from 2030 if the current trend continues. We are calling on leadership of the country to do everything possible to fix the small-scale mining industry. They should do everything possible to fix this country because people are suffering.
Okay.
Johnny, hopelessness, desperation, despondency everywhere. And it is sad for us as a people. I think that President Akufo-Addo and his government must sit up, because so far what we have seen is an abysmal performance that does not merit any support from the people of Ghana. Ernest
is shocked at your outburst this morning. Ernest, you have the final word. Earlier before you came in, we were discussing how youth in afforestation guys, have not been paid for many months. The guys at NAPCO as well have not been paid. And they are raising key concerns that, look, give us the small money that we deserve. Maybe you have the final word on that, and Galamsey, and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so on that part, I think, anyone that has worked deserves his wages. That's what the Bible even says.
Right.
So our youths who have worked, they deserve their wages. On this matter, I am reliably informed, as far back as last week, that a lot of effort has gone in to make sure our young ones and our brothers and our sisters in there are paid what is due them. I would rather urge those in line of authority, those working along this, those within the Finance Ministry, the Forestry Commission, to take the appropriate urgent steps to make sure that these assurances that they gave to them last week, that in the course of this week they will receive their money and manifest it rightly, so that at least they are encouraged. You know, these wages are one form of motivation for anybody to keep up doing what they are doing. So I won't sit here and defend this thing, but I'm saying that because I know within certain quarters that efforts are being put there to pay them, we'll urge them to speed up the processes so that their wages and the motivations that they also need to carry out their work goes back to them.
You're going to plant trees in June, later in June. You would need their expertise.
Exactly.
So if you don't pay them...
In wrapping up on the Galamsey issue, I still maintain that the senior minister's statement cannot be construed as a justification for the repatriation of Aisha 1, and it is as simply as that. Let us get it. Those in line of authority, their statement can be taken to be a justification, but his is a commentary as executive member, as a member of this government, as a citizen. He has his right to make comment, and that comment cannot be construed.
What about the former local government minister? She was in the line of duty.
Yeah, she was in the line of duty.
She had authority.
She had authority, and she spoke to the report. It remains at that.
Okay.
Whatever further action that she wasn't able to carry through is simply that she lacked the evidence to carry that through.
Okay, thank you. Ernest Kumi is a member of the NPP's national communication team. He joined us here, even though belatedly, but he's contributed his bit. And also Edem Agbana is a deputy national youth organizer of the NDC. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your time. Alhaji